On YouTube, there's an unwritten rule that when violated, it ruins your image forever. It causes irreparable damage to your reputation, and there's really not much you can ever do to get back in the good graces of the platform. That is abusing the copyright takedown system. It's basically a 10 commandment that when broken is a cardinal sin that banishes you straight to the shadow realm in the eyes of everyone who uses YouTube. And unfortunately, a massive YouTuber today took a bite out of that forbidden fruit. His name is Brent Rivera. I actually recently talked about this goofball only 9 days ago. He was recently involved in some medium rare YouTube beef where he and another YouTuber named Tyler Oliveira were staying at the same haunted hotel that they were milking the tits out of for content. Now, I'm not one to usually believe in the paranormal, but after all of this going around here, I'm starting to think that Brent Rivera really did catch a curse from this hotel. He's now being haunted by a clout demon that's using his body like a fucking fleshlight. A little puppet that's forcing him to say the stupidest shit imaginable and has transformed him into an even bigger douchebag. But anyway, these two YouTubers stayed at the hotel. Tyler Oliveira started trolling Brent a little bit. He was clearly instigating, so he'd go up and like say, hey, do you fake your pranks? Nothing like super mean or aggressive or anything, just like, hey, you fake your pranks, don't you? And Brent would go on the defensive. He'd be like a cornered animal. He'd be like, oh, no, I don't fake my pranks. Do you fake your fucking pranks? And then throughout the night, the two would cross paths in what seemed to be accidental because it's not a huge area. And every time they did cross paths, Brent Rivera and his henchmen would insult Tyler. So it ended up just this horrible look for him where he looks like a piece of shit because he kept insulting Tyler. While Tyler did start it, per se, his was less egregious than everything Brent was doing, so Brent ended up looking significantly worse. It was very petty stuff. I covered it because I thought it was silly, but anyway, that's where it all started. That's why it's important here. So Brent Rivera was getting dunked on by his own community of 4-year-olds who somehow found Tyler's content, or I guess maybe a TikTok of someone dancing while explaining it, must have enlightened them and opened their third eye to the situation, because everyone turned on him. Brent Rivera got a lot of shit tossed at him. A lot of YouTubers started making content around him, and I guess at some point something must have snapped. The nice guy went bad, and Brent Rivera went rogue and started copyright striking and copyright claiming some people's content that was critical of him. And one of those YouTubers is a commentary channel named Dumpy. He's made a couple of videos clowning on Brent for this whole situation, and today posted this video titled Brent Rivera Wants to Delete My Channel, where he goes over what he's been dealing with behind the scenes over the last 12 or so hours, where Brent Rivera or someone that represents him on his team have been filing takedown requests on the content that's been laughing at him. And while those weren't taken down instantly, he did have one piece of content taken down, which was this video here, and it was taken down for harassment, violating the YouTube harassment policy. Now, I haven't seen that video, and I haven't found a re-upload of it, at least not as of right now while I'm recording this, so I can't access it, but I'm inclined to believe that this is a load of dirty barnacles. Calling out shitty behavior isn't harassment. There's nothing wrong with calling out a misbehaving bad actor to the principal's office and disciplining him. As I understand it, Dumpy was just bending him over and taking his hand to his cheeks and spanking him, letting him know that what he's done is cringe, right? Like, that's not that big of a deal. But sometimes there's always going to be big egos and fragile, sensitive, thin-skinned people, like Brent Rivera seems to be, who find this content and get upset about it. And then that broken YouTube copyright system starts to look real appetizing. Like a nice big glass of water while you've been starving in the desert. And they just can't help themselves. Just like Adam and Eve, they just need to take a bite out of that apple. So, either Brent or someone on his team decided to start filing copyright takedown requests, which can result in strikes. Luckily, in Dumpy's case, YouTube actually sided with Dumpy. They made him aware that someone was trying to take down the content, but they ruled in Dumpy's favor that they weren't going to be giving him any strikes for it or anything like that. So big W from YouTube on that, but big fucking L for Brent Rivera or whoever is representing Brent Rivera in this way, whether it's a fan or whether he's using one of those scummy, shady third-party companies that do these takedown requests on behalf of creators. A lot of those stinky companies exist, and it's their entire business model to just slap down all types of content unjustly in order to either bury it or make money off of it for the creator. It's a very awful thing. So it might not have been Brent Rivera himself. It could have been one of those companies, or it could have been like fans that for some reason went to arms, picked up a fucking sword and said, we're gonna take down Dumpy because he was mean to the guy that we like. I guess that's also somewhat possible because of how broken YouTube's system is, and they still haven't really bothered to fix it. But me personally, I'm inclined to believe that it is Brent Rivera himself in this case here. At least from what I've seen presented in Dumpy's video, it leads me to believe that it's likely Brent Rivera or someone very close to him. So let me walk you through how this thing usually goes. When a YouTuber makes the decision to go nuclear and start filing these kind of takedown requests, the whole community turns against them. People fucking hate that, for good reason. That's the lowest shit you could sink to. Just stop being a little bitch and accept that not everyone's going to like you. And when you do some dumb, embarrassing shit because your ego bubbles over and you embarrass yourself, people are gonna make fun of you for it. That's the circle of life, baby. That's nature. That's the way God made this world. And the cyberspace as well. I bet even, the Lord was on an alt account kind of laughing about what you did here, because you looked real stupid during it. The point I'm making is, you just move on from it. You don't do this. When you do copyright abuse shenanigans, it is always like sticking your head into a beehive. You are the only one who gets hurt, but you are just too focused on the potential sweetness in that hive, that honey. You got consumed by the idea that you could take down these videos that were being mean and people being mean to you, you could bury it, but what always ends up happening is you make the problem much worse. You escalate it to a much higher degree. If I can turn your attention back to Exhibit A here, I'd like to explain why I think Brent Rivera himself or someone close to him filed this. Is because of these questions that were answered here. So, I don't remember exactly if YouTube always supplies this, but I guess in Dumpy's case they did. So these were questions in regards to the takedowns, why he was filing him. He was claiming that Dumpy used his entire video and basically just re-uploaded it, which is a blatant lie. That's not the case. Dumpy used clips from the videos and talked about it and made fun of him for it. He wasn't just re-uploading raw videos, it was transformative. He was literally giving input every fucking 15, 20 seconds, just showing clips from it to talk about it afterwards. But these were the questions that were answered. How much of your copyrighted work is used? Most of the video were my original videos from my YouTube channel. No other original content from the creator was shown. That is categorically false. There's a DEF CON, Red Alert, Liar Liar, Pants on Fire, Brent Rivera's career is looking dire situation. You can watch any of the videos and see that it is not just mainly his original video, it is Dumpy opining on it. Next question, how is the market for your original work affected by this use? It affects it negatively. That right there is the biggest tip-off for me that flips on the light bulb in my head that tells me Brent Rivera likely filed this, because no self-respecting third-party company that does this professionally on behalf of creators would ever answer that question like that. It's a very concise answer, but it also doesn't even answer the question. The question is, how is the market for your original work affected? And his response was, it affects it negatively. That's like how a child would answer it. I know Brent Rivera makes videos for children, but it seems like he also has the brain of one too. He's stuck in third grade. You're supposed to explain your reasoning, so it affects it negatively, but how? Why? What exactly is this doing to encroach on you and your original content? How is it stealing from you or ruining your content? And he just gives fucking 5 words here. Moving on, does this use significantly transform your original work, or does it serve the same purpose? It serves the same purpose, it does not transform it at all. So you didn't watch it at all, is what that tells me. Because how the fuck could it serve the same purpose? It's the exact opposite purpose. The purpose of your original video is to entertain kids. The purpose of Dumpy's video was to take a shit on you. And that's it, making fun of you for the entertainment. Unless you are saying that the content you make, you are also supposed to be the butt of the joke of, though that I don't think is the case. It doesn't serve the same purpose, not even fucking close. And the fact that he's saying it doesn't transform it at all tells me he didn't watch it, because it is mainly Dumpy talking about him and using some clips to back up his claims. Does this use fall into an exception to copyright protection? Please note that we may share your response with the uploader. No, it isn't fair use since the uploaded did not adjust the content at all and is most of his video. Again, this is structured like a literal child on a fucking 4th grade English assignment here. No professional will be answering these questions this way, especially since this is a legal matter. When you file something like this, it is literally a legal matter, and he is answering these things and can't even be bothered to get the words correct. Instead of saying uploader, he says uploaded. Like, this is very poorly put together, and it is very wrong. This is the very definition of fair use. He's not using your full video, A, and B, he is using clips in order to provide commentary and critique, and he dunks on you, showing the clips to enforce his points and talk about his points with. So it's just wrong on every possible level, and he filled this out in like 3 seconds. Like, he gave the quickest answers possible as if he was trying to just scribble his way through a test in school, like a quick quiz. It is poorly done, very haphazardly thrown together. It seemed like he was very much in his feelings and tried to take down the content that was making him upset, and now you look like an absolute fool, and you've ruined your reputation even further, Brent, if such a thing was even possible. Somehow your audience of children are actually being aware of this now, which is the last thing I imagine you wanted to happen with the drama. You're just doing all of the wrong things here. You fucked up. You should have just moved on from it, apologized for it, and been done with it. You made a terrible response to this whole thing, trying to give context to it, where even in that you make yourself look stupid. Like, you played this terribly. You played yourself and you look dumb. Luckily, Dumpy's channel I don't think is going to get deleted or get in any hot water from this situation, so that's good, but it is really frustrating to see yet another big creator like Brent Rivera try and bully people around by abusing the copyright systems on the platform that have been broken for a long time. That's always going to be a big fuck you from me for people that do that, so very awful shit, Brent, or whoever is representing Brent here. That's about it. See ya.